Hey, what's up? Hello, everybody. How are you? Long time no see. I am here to film a brief but chatty update video with you on like where I've been, what I've been doing, and then also to share the books that I've read in 2026 so far. They're very few. And then the books that I'm currently reading. So if that sounds interesting, please grab yourself a beverage, warm or otherwise, and yeah, come on back so we can chat. Mint tea is like one of my favorite things on earth. It's so refreshing. I wanted to film a chatty update video before I filmed anything else because I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, and I've made no promises and made no illusions of me being a consistent filmer or content maker here on YouTube for quite a few years now, but it is always kind of awkward to just like jump right back in and not acknowledge that I've been missing for months whenever I do that. So to me, it's kind of like a palate cleanser to just kind of share a little bit about what's been going on and where I've been and what I've been reading, and it gives me a sense of like a stable ground to start my videos up with. I recently got some new supplies that should make filming a little bit easier for me. I bought a light, I bought a stand for my phone because these days I don't use my camera anymore. I just film on my phone camera, and that is just so much more easy and practical. And I realized that not having a stand and a light were huge barriers to me not filming more, but I was so stubborn about not buying a stand and a light because somewhere in all of my stuff, I know I have one that I bought years ago, and so I didn't want to spend money and be wasteful, but I couldn't find them or all of the pieces to make them work, and I realized it's worth it probably just to buy a new set and just accept the fact that I've lost the other ones and they're non-functional anymore. So I've done that, so that should make it a little bit easier to film. It made it easier for me to pick up and film today, so that was kind of nice. And yeah, I've been really busy like doing mom life stuff. I have a toddler who's wonderful. I feel like I like light up whenever I talk about my kiddos because they are so wonderful, and they're like a beacon of light in a otherwise kind of dark and gloomy world, which also kind of makes me sad because children shouldn't bear the responsibility of being the light for adults who are actively participating in a dark world, but that's neither here nor there. That's another topic. But yeah, no, I've been really busy with doing toddler mom stuff, and part of that is getting sick all of the time because my toddler started in part-time daycare last July, and the pediatricians told me, hey, she's gonna be sick all the time for like the next couple of years, so be prepared. And I thought I understood, and I thought I was prepared. I did not in fact understand, and I was not in fact prepared because I have in fact been sick, as you can hear, non-stop since last July. We're talking pink eye, viral infections, the cold, stomach flus, anything and everything in between, and then like repeated. I just am now recovering. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just recovering from like pink eye in both my eyes because my toddler's favorite thing to do when she has a viral infection is come up to me and cough right in my eye. And it's just like that cat meme where like it's like right, that's exactly what toddlers do. They're like right in your face, and it's like, oh my goodness. But it is also really, really lovely. Toddlers are so much fun, and so that's taken up a lot of my time, and I choose that. Like if I want my time to go anywhere, it's to my kiddos and my family. So that takes up like most of my time. And then we did recently do some traveling. We flew back to Florida for the wedding of two friends of mine. One is particularly beloved, and that was really, really, really beautiful to witness and experience and be a part of. And it felt really, really good because in my own small way, I felt like I was finally able to contribute to my friend in some way. It's been kind of difficult because since having a baby and having all the adjustments and then different challenges that, you know, I've had because of my lovely toddlers, like different like medical things going on, I feel like I really haven't been able to contribute much to my community, certainly not as much as they have to me. And And while I know that most of them are understanding and loving and accepting and want to support me no matter what, it feels really good to be able to reciprocate and to start to be able to do things for other people again. Nobody likes to feel like, not necessarily indebted, but nobody wants to feel like they're receiving more than they're giving. It feels best when it's around equal, right? And so it's been really, really nice for me to feel like I can kind of give back and participate more fully present than I have for a while. So that was really, really lovely. And yeah, and then I've got a new job. I haven't started it yet, but I've been kind of doing the steps to prepare for that. So that's been kind of time consuming and energy consuming. There's a lot of things happening in the world, and in particular for a while, my world, because we moved to the Twin Cities of Minnesota last June. So there have been some things going on that have taken up a lot of time and energy on my end locally, and I've been trying to get involved more. I'm by no means trying to slyly put out that I'm like this like huge activist or like I need to do more, and I have been trying to do more. So that's also been taking a lot of my time and energy. So all of that to say, like, I really haven't had a lot of time for reading, which is okay, but also I always feel a little bit sad when I haven't had time for reading. So I'm trying to refocus and really try to find balance, right? I tend to be very all or nothing in the way of like, I either spend a whole lot of time or something or nothing. And I'm realizing like there's still benefit in reading 10 minutes a day, even if that's all that I have. It's better than no minutes a day. So I'm trying to do that, just read at least 10 minutes a day. And if I have more time, read more. So that's been helping out. So let me share with you the 2 books that I finished in 2026. And again, I apologize for my crackling voice coming in and out. It is what it is. I have no control over it. But I can take a sip of tea. Hold on. Okay, I think we're better. So I'll share the 2 books that I have finished so far in 2026, and then the books that I am currently reading through, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to share that I finished so far this year is Audre Lorde's The Cancer Journals. This is a very short book, but it is an excerpt of some of her journals relating to when she was diagnosed, received treatment for, and then recovering from the treatment from breast cancer. And she talks about a lot of really, really important things in here. Certainly what it is like to find out that you have been diagnosed with cancer and to come face to face with your mortality, but also very specifically from her perspective, how being diagnosed with cancer and losing her breasts impacted at first her sense of identity and her relationship with her body, and she talks about the fears of what it would mean for her body in relation to her romantic and sexual relationships. There's seasons, right, where it impacts her more intensely and then it kind of subsides, but then she talks about her experience as a person going through the recovery process and how what the medical field and what the medical providers highlighted and emphasized for her were so dehumanizing and had nothing to do with what she actually needed in recovery. For example, in the day and age that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer, it really put an emphasis on wearing a prosthetic. And she just felt that was so dehumanizing because she was like, I don't need to pretend to have a breast. Like, I'm still a full, complete woman, and I can be a full, complete woman in this world without a breast. And and she felt very frustrated about how a lot of the conversations about why they thought she should wear the prosthetic had to do with how other people will feel around her and what it signals to other women. And she just felt like it was very like vapid and dehumanizing. And of course, in Audra's way, she just writes everything so astutely. What I love so much about Audre Lorde's writing is that she takes the experience of being human. And obviously, my experience of being human is not the same as hers. We have so many differences in experiences, and yet she finds a way to make them so generalizable and so relatable. And then also she makes you care deeply about her experience, even those parts that you don't personally identify with, and you really start to imagine what it would be like from her experience, and it kind of enrages you. And so yeah, I love this. I don't tend to rate people's memoirs or journals or things like that, but if I were to rate this, I would give it 5 stars, because again, Audre Lorde's writing always, I think, just hits me in the gut in places that I need to be hit or want to be hit, I guess. And every single time I read her writing, I cry, and it's not even necessarily like a sad cry. It's just like a cry, I think it's like of being seen, which is so funny because again, our experiences are so fundamentally different, but I feel like I see her when I read her writing. See, I'm starting to feel the pangs of the emotion now. But like, I feel like I see her in her writing, and I appreciate her being so vulnerable and letting me see her. And I also feel seen in her writing, because there's just something about her clarity of the human experience that is so deeply, groundingly validating. So I really, really recommend this if you have any interest in Audre Lorde's writing, or if you're interested in reading, you know, somebody's experience of being diagnosed with breast cancer, thinking about identity and then mortality. So I'm glad I read that. And then I also read, on a completely different note, The Cabinet by Unsoo Kim and translated by Sean Lynn Halbert. And this book was so great. I loved this book. I needed this book at the time that I read this. It starts off is so bizarre. It is this set of people that this guy stumbles upon in this cabinet at his job called Cabinet 13. And it says here, Cabinet 13 looks exactly like any normal filing cabinet, except this cabinet is filled with files on the symptomers. People whose weird abilities and bizarre experiences might just mark the emergence of a new species. So he ends up being kind of in charge of overseeing these symptomers, and he takes their calls and their concerns, and he gets to know them. And on one hand, it's a story of bizarre people with unique and weird abilities and weird adaptations. But at its core, it's truly a critique, I think, of our modern day society and very likely capitalism, and the ways that we're isolated in our society and the way that it's structured, and just like the bizarre component of it all, like just like how like ridiculous some of it is. And I think this book really critiques it in such a fun and creative way. So that's a kind of a very vague overview. I had more to say about it right after I read it. At this point, I think I finished it 2 months ago, but I really, really enjoyed this book. I don't remember what I rated it currently, and I can't check because I'm filming on my phone, but I do highly, highly recommend this book. It was worth the read to me. Okay, so now going into books that I am currently reading, and I'm currently reading through quite a few. I'm over here organizing them into fiction and nonfiction, and I'll go ahead and start with the nonfiction. I always like to start with nonfiction. I don't know why. Nonfiction is my favorite, I guess. It just is what it is. But so I guess like the least exciting nonfiction is Oh Crap, Potty Training, Everything Modern Parents Need to Know to Do It Once and Do It Right by Jamie Glowacki. And I'm not truly like reading this like cover to cover, but kind of skimming through it for different tips and tricks about potty training, because we are starting to potty train our toddler. Truthfully though, it's more her than us. She's so independent and she's so confident in herself that she told us, she's like, I'm ready. Like, I want to go to the potty. And she like, at daycare, she kind of just goes on her own. Like, she tells them, like, so she's leading her own potty training, which is just so impressive. Every parent thinks their kid is like the best and the brightest, and I'm not excluded from that. Like, I don't think my child is more important than any other child in this world. But of course, I think she's just like the best, and she makes me the happiest. So yeah, I'm reading through that for some tips and tricks. But honestly, I don't really even need them. She's doing her own thing. I also picked up the Anthony Bourdain Reader, which is a really random but enjoyable choice for me. So this is New Classic and Rediscovered Writing. So this is just a collection of Anthony Bourdain's writing. I never really got much into Anthony Bourdain when he was alive. I always thought he was kind of interesting when I saw little snippets of his shows. And I liked his like monologues, which I have not read much of this at all. Like I'm literally on page, oh no. But I'm just on page 12, and this is like 500 pages. But so far I do appreciate his writing. I'm looking forward to reading more of his writing, and this is a book that I can kind of dip in and dip out of, so I like that. And then I picked up this book yesterday on a whim because I've had it on my shelf and I've been wanting to read it, but I was intimidated by the size. But then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start it and just dip in and out again. And this book immediately just like enraged me and disgusted me. And that is The Shock Doctrine, The Rise of Disaster Capitalism by Naomi Klein. I did read Doppelganger by Naomi Klein a couple of years ago. And though that book wasn't my favorite, I think just because I didn't know who Naomi Klein was, and it was a lot about her experience. And it's not that I don't care about people I don't know, but like it was just like I wasn't that interested in her or hearing about her experience at the time because I had no foundation for any of it. But I had heard that this book is really, really good. And so far I would say it is setting up to be good. I'm on the introduction, so I'm only on page 20. And she's setting up how she started to do research on what she calls the shock doctrine and disaster capitalism, and she's setting up different quick examples, and she's starting to kind of like define her verbiage and lay out some examples. And while I will say that a lot of the concepts in here so far, or like what I know will be in here, isn't new to me, so and I don't understand it enough to explain it simply yet, but I'll try, but it'll be very poorly done. But essentially it's like how there's a set of politicians and corporatists who purposely use disasters that happen to try to push through agendas, that political and also like financial investments that they know people otherwise would not go for. But they know that the disaster kind of shocks everybody so much that if they can quickly respond to it, they can put through policies and put through programs and things like that they wouldn't be able to otherwise. And so they purposely look for disaster to push their different capitalistic goals. And that is a very intentionally done thing. Now, this isn't new or surprising to me, but I think just the more that I hear about it, it just enrages me. Like what I don't know, like I'm learning that my channel is going to be inherently more political than it ever was, because again, I'm in my rage girl era, and before I used to try to like play nice. Like I've pretty much always maintained the same politics, but I've become more informed and become more enraged and frustrated with things. And so I can't and refuse to be like nice girl about it, and we can all just agree to disagree, because yeah, we can all agree to disagree when it's things about like what kind of candy bars you like, or like what the best movie is, but not about things having to do with humanity and human life and preserving humanity and preserving the earth and things like that. Like that's not a difference of opinions, my friend. That's a difference of values, and for me, a difference of your level of humanity. But I will say, like, I'm gonna share political stuff, and I do have a very I guess it's considered polarized perspective. I don't particularly think so, or if it is polarized, it's been necessitated by the polarity of others. But anyways, I just mean like if that's not what you are interested in, then my channel is not, my videos are not going to be for you. But anyways, so like in this book, I feel really disgusted by the fact that I feel like American culture, American life has become so devoid of value, any other value except for make money above all else. And I'm not even necessarily saying that I'm anti-capitalistic. I really don't know what I am. I don't think I'm smart enough or well-versed enough in different systems of governing, or different economic systems and things like that to say what I am or am not. But what I will say is that it is very obvious to anybody who thinks about it for more than 30 seconds that capitalism comes with very, very serious consequences, especially if not kept in check. And we are supposed to have a lot of checks in place to try to protect people from those consequences, because there are benefits to capitalism, but it invites a lot of the worst people. And now those worst of the worst people are fused with our government systems, and they're the same, and so now it's just like profit for a few at the expense of everybody else, and that's the point, right? And that disgusts me. It's a part in the book where Naomi Klein talks about after September 11th, how basically like the companies that were making money off of the war in Iraq were like, it was one month that was like a particularly, oh, I think I have it highlighted here somewhere. Okay, so she says here, one distinct advantage of this postmodern approach is that in market terms, it cannot fail. Here she's talking about how basically after September 11th, like people really recognize, hey, we can make a ton of money from disaster, not just in like the aftermath and like the few niche industries of like after war, but like in all of them, if we give out all of these jobs to like independent contractors and things like that. As a market analyst remarked of a particularly good quarter for the earnings of the energy services company Halliburton, Iraq was better than expected. That was in October 2006, then the most violent month of the war on record, with 3,709 Iraqi civilian casualties. Still, few shareholders could fail to be impressed by a war that had generated $20 billion in revenues for this one company. And here I literally put gross. Like, I am at this point like where like I just feel enraged and disgusted when people talk about human lives in terms of like, wow, what great sales we got from this, right? Like 3,709 civilian casualties in 1 month. Imagine if that happened here in the United States, in a community that neighbors yours, or in your community. 3,709 people were killed. And then you heard that the people who lived in the country where they were doing this to you, right, were saying like, oh wow, like we made record numbers this month. Like, isn't that great? Woohoo! Like, it's jarring. It's really jarring. Like, I just get the image of the De Goya painting of what's his name eating his children, Cronus eating his like that's where humanity is right now. Anyways, I went on a rant. I'm so sorry. Shock Doctrine. I'm reading it. It's good. It's gonna make me mad. Look out for my vlogs if you are interested, because I will be ranting a lot, I am sure. So I'm glad I picked this up. And then the two fiction books that I'm reading, the one that I have much further in is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I'm reading this with a couple of my friends. Really, really enjoying this so far. It's just a really cozy fantasy about this orc who decides to start, wait, is she an orc? Anyways, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's an orc. I don't know why I can't, like, why I don't feel confident about that right now, but she decides to stop orking around on the battlefields and instead set up a coffee shop. And so it's like talking about her setting up this coffee shop, and then about the transition from a faster paced, more dangerous life to a slower paced, less stimulating life. And it's so far very cozy and enjoyable, and a very, very easy read, which I often need after reading stuff like this. So I have really been enjoying this. And then I'm not far into this at all, but I am reading with another friend, Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. And when I say I'm not far, I mean I'm literally on page 7, and I started that like a month ago. So I really have nothing to say about this yet, but I look forward to sharing more and reading vlogs, and then hearing videos after I finish up. So yeah. So that is all that I have for you today. It was really, really nice kind of chatting. And I am hoping to make more content, especially now that I've got the gear and I have made the mental resolution to just be my authentic self, not worry about editing, not worry about coming across super well put together and well spoken. Like, I'm just gonna say things how I want to say things, for better or for worse, and everything in between. I do really look forward to hearing from you all and engaging with you in the comments. I'd love to know anything that you have read so far this year that you've particularly loved. And if you have any recommendations for me, kind of knowing the vibes of what I'm reading, whether it's something that's kind of like political that you think I would like, or something that's purposely anti-political, apolitical, not that much actually is apolitical, but like, let me know if you've got a good like palette cleanser for me too. But beyond that, I really look forward to engaging with you in the comments, and then I will see you all in the next video. Bye.